What's going on, everybody? My name is Jeremy Scott, for those of you who don't know. I'm the owner of Summit Cove Realty. We're a full-service brokerage. We do it all, and we do a lot of investments. So this specifically today is an investment meetup about how you can get involved, what other people are doing, and then we'll point you to some testimonials of who has done it, what it looks like, and we sit down and pick their brain. So we're working on doing more of those, and I need to get some of that settled in. But without further ado, let's get going. If you've seen this before, it's been shortened and really perfected, in my opinion, or not perfected, but perfected on time. We will be less than 30 minutes easy. This is a recording. You can go back. There's 12 slides. All those slides have a lot of data, and let's get into it. Okay, so content. Added a table of content to this one. How much money you're losing by not taking action today. I like going over that. We're going to cover what the SEC says, Securities and Exchange Commission, the FDIC, Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, I think, and then Wells Fargo versus what we offer just in terms of cash sitting in the bank. So that's very interesting. How to lend today. You can literally get started. Short term, long term, we have a lot of different options, and then Oakmont Wealth Lending on there is coming soon. We're pretty much ready to go. Actually, the attorney is finalizing the documents, but that's another lending source that we'll be able to do. So number 3, we're going to go over the power of compound interest, and then how to use investment accounts to lend tax deferred or quite literally tax free, because taxes suck at the end of the day. I don't like paying them, and if there's a legal way to get around them, why would you not utilize that tool? I actually met yesterday with a financial advisor, and it's insane the amount of just legal loopholes you can do to avoid paying taxes that were invented by our beloved politicians, corporations, and whatnot. But my mindset is, if you can't beat them, join them. You don't have to be a bad person like them, but in terms of, the tax code, it's there to be utilized. And then number 5, call to action, how to get started today. So the SEC, right, the Securities and Exchange Commission, they govern all the stocks, Tesla, Amazon, everything. That's what they govern. Now they say there is no such thing as a safe investment, but there are way safer investments than others. If you think about it, a stock, right, you buy it, it goes up, great, you make money. If it goes down, you lose money, and you don't get that money back unless it goes back up. So real estate is different if purchased correctly. Now, values do go up and down, but loan to value is an important thing, right? If you're lending on an asset at $100,000 and the asset is worth $80,000, is that a good loan to value or a bad loan to value? Bad loan to value. If you lend $100,000 and the property is worth $120,000, that's a good loan to value. And then if somebody's fixing it up and rehabbing it, it increases your loan to value even more on top of that. So that's a contextual thing, or conceptual thing, I mean. And Summit Cove Realty or myself, this isn't tax advice, legal advice, financial advice, etc. I don't have those qualifications, and I recommend people who do. But what we do is we're good at real estate, and we know how to get your money working for you in that avenue for sure. And have a lot of people who do it and want to keep coming back. Here's an interesting one that I added. The Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, news corporation. So look over here on the left. What products are not insured? Stocks, bonds, mutual funds, crypto assets. That's a new one that's been added. Life insurance policies, annuities, municipal securities, safe deposit boxes and their contents. What I find very interesting here, though, is U.S. Treasury bills, bonds, or notes. And if you look at the asterisk on the note, it says these investments are backed by the full faith and credit of the U.S. government. I don't know how that doesn't stick out to other people more, but the only thing on that freaking list that has an asterisk is a note. And notes are backed by the full faith and credit of the U.S. government because it's backed by real estate, the asset that they know over time is going to continue to increase. It's just the way inflation works, the system works, and Federal Reserve. But that to me stood out like a sore thumb, because it's like, wow, the U.S. government gets behind this. And again, why do banks lend our money on mortgages? Because it's a safe investment compared to those other things. If they would have bought a bunch of Tesla with all our money at the bank, before it went down. Obviously, it's gone back up, but not as much. You would have lost money. It's the slow and steady race type thing here that everyone knows. Now, on top of that, there's a lot of people with a lot of cash out there. Excuse me. The FDIC only guarantees $250,000. So if you have 500 grand in there and the bank went under, right? You're only guaranteed to get 250,000 back out of that. And that's you want to make sure your bank has good liquidity. We're going to compare with Wells Fargo, right? Because they have a ton of liquidity. And to me, I was just like, that's not cool. That's not safe, especially when they're, so speculative of, all these assets over here, the stocks, bonds, mutual funds. And it's just, when you really start digging into it and you want to pay attention, it's kind of eye-opening. So again, this is just another method to diversify and put your money in different things, but then have it work for you at a 10% rate is what we offer. We'll get into that. So current Wells Fargo savings rate is as of last month. I didn't check today, but this was 0.15%. Literally not 1%. Not even, it's less than 0.5%. It's less than 0.2%. It's horrible. So if you have $500,000 sitting at Wells Fargo, you're literally earning $750. If you have $500,000 lent out on real estate earning 10%, that's $50,000 annually. You can buy a lot more with $50,000 than $750, in my opinion. But the minimalist may like the top one. But to me, especially some of you have that much cash sitting around, right? If you look at this and it's just sitting there, yes, you sleep peacefully at night, but your money is literally at war, being devalued by inflation every time you go to sleep. So if it's not earning and getting more like that, I'm glad you're sleeping well, but your heirs would like to have more money, in my opinion. But that's a no-brainer, and I love to put the mathematics side by side. So this is a slide that is from the other one because I love it. Over the last 15 to 20 years, people's retirement accounts have looked exactly like that roller coaster. So in 2000, if you retired, this is based on S&P, that went down 9%, next year 12%, next year 22%. If you retired during that time, you 100% went back into the workforce. There's just no other way around it. 2008, I was in high school. That was my senior year of high school, so it wasn't necessarily in reality, but you could see like some people were devastated or humbled, whatever you want to call it, and the market went down massively, 37%. I was working at Cabela's, making an hourly job, and this, which was, again, it's nothing. It was my first job, so it was nothing special. But this guy was from an investment company and literally got let go and had to get a job right next to me. So that was kind of eye-opening. And then I have family members, that grandparent situation that got affected big time. And, if you sell at the bottom, you say what it is. But the myth of retirement is if you stop putting the dollar cost average in there, you're done. If you stop have your contributions, like that is the power. And what's really funny too is they quote all that stuff on average, right? So people think that you can just lump sum your money in there and then it will grow. It doesn't work that way. You literally have to dollar cost average, because when it goes down, you're buying at a lower value, and then it goes up. And then even if you paid more when you're buying here, it's just long term, it's going to continue to grow. So if you're just chunking lump sums at it too, I guarantee you, if you look at your portfolio, it is down. Now, again, that's contributions. What I mean is if you just say, hey, I'm going to put this in this account, set it away, and it's going to grow for that amount over time. If you're not contributing to it, I promise you it's not going to grow to that amount. And just based on what everything in the mathematics of the average of what that like mutual fund or whatever would pay out. But I encourage you, look at it yourself. Don't take my word for it. Here's a short-term lending scenario, and I wanted to do a big one and a small one. There's $400,000 loaned out on this one over here. And we do have a lender that lends up to like $700,000 on different properties, a father-in-law and a son-in-law. So $400,000 at 10% is over 365 days. That's $40,000. That's $110 a day, doing nothing. So if it's lent out for 150 days and you're making 110, you're making $16,438. At Wells Fargo, you'd probably be making $600. So it's just a no-brainer, and well, I feel bad for people who just don't take action because it's not worth it to them. But life is not getting easier or less expensive. So the sooner that people take that into account is big. But again, there it is at the bottom. At 0.01%, you would have made $16.44 over that 150 days. So that's horrible. I wasn't even close. What do we got here? $15,000 loan over here on the side. So we do have a good amount of smaller loans, and especially if I like you and you're not going to be a hassle, we will take a $5,000 loan even. But here's a $15,000 for a normal rehab. 10% is $1,500. 365 days is a $4.11 per diem. Well, again, if you think, it's not worth my time to do that, look at the bottom. The same amount of time, you would have made $616. At Wells Fargo, you would have made 62 cents. If it's not worth your time to do that and grow it over time, you don't understand the power of compound interest, and that's why we're about to go over it. But I really, really encourage you to not take that for a grain of salt. And we do a $1,000 minimum payout. So technically they made way more than 10%. And my goal is to help create more, because as people grow, they want to lend more. We had two brothers that still invest. They have a property that they've lent on right now. They started out at $15,000 and now they're lending $40,000. And they just, again, they understand the system. They understand the safety precautions that go into it. We use a deed of trust and a loan agreement, and that comes up on the court system. So very, very interesting math when you see it side by side. So here's the power of contributions and all that, etc., right? So if you're just thinking, 15,000 is not that much, 5,000 is not that much, blah, blah, blah. If you start with $15,000 and you add $100 a month and it earns 10%. So if you have $15,000 in this scenario, check. If you can afford $100 a month, that's $1,200 a year. If you can't do that, you need to work harder. Check. 10% is what you're earning. Check. So if you have an avenue with real estate, etc., you can do that. This $15,000 over 30 years turns into $460,000, $459,133. So to me that's just insane. You're not going to miss life at an extra $100 a month if you start with a small nest egg and continuously do this over and over. Excuse me. You'll see you only contributed here less than $58,000. Literally $15,000 plus the $100 a month, less than $58,000, and you've grown it to $460,000. To me, that gets me going. But you can't, if you don't take the action, then it's not going to happen. So here's some more interesting things, right? So we've covered short term, right? Now here's some long-term lending, and I like to show it on amortization because that's more off of yield, and I wanted to show 2%, 3%, 4%, 5%, 6%, 7%. This is what the banks do. They lend long-term, right, on the mortgages. So look at what over 30 years, a $400,000 loan, even at 2%, turns into a $131,000 profit, right? So what if you do the same thing, right? It keeps going, you increase your rate, you get all the way over here to 7%. 7% of $400,000 over 30 years turns into $952,000, which is a ton of money. I mean, where else can you guaranteed get your payout, right? And if it doesn't pay out, then you foreclose. And you don't even have to be mean. You can renegotiate with people if they're in a bad situation. But in terms of protection, that's why the banks do it, because they can, if we don't pay our mortgage, they're going to foreclose on us. And then if they're getting 7%, they're turning $400,000 into $952,000. Think about if you do that 5 times. That makes your money grow substantially, and it grows over double over that time. So talk about your heirs liking you, right? All right, we're getting to the end here. So here we go. Power of compound interest. The rule of 72, right? 72 divided by the interest rate, which in our scenario is 10, that gives you your years to double your money. That's 7.2 years in our scenario. So that's pretty good. The power of compound interest over here, right? So if you saved $1,000 a year for 10 years from 25 to 34, only 9 years at 8% interest, and your total investment ends up being 10,000 and it grows to 157,000. If you get on the bottom, you save 1,000 a year for 30 years, same scenario, and put it in there at age 35 at 8%. That turns into, let's see here. Oh, okay. See, it's because it's the age. Gotcha. If they start at the earlier age, it goes. And again, don't let it discourage you for, not starting then, because the scenario here is it's a 10-year time frame. So anyway, it's absolutely fascinating when you look at it. All right. Last but not least, investment tax deferred or tax free. I started a self-directed IRA with Horizon Trust. And it does have fees and all that, but basically you can utilize it if you have a Roth self-directed IRA, you can use that on notes, on lending. I've been recommended not to necessarily buy real estate in the Roth, but lending is absolutely the way to go. So you can do that, and think about it. Everything you get coming back on a Roth, taxes have been paid, so it's tax-free, literally tax-free. But you can do this with health savings accounts. We're meeting with my guy yesterday. We're starting one of those, and you can utilize all these things with massive tax savings and just grow it over time and play the game. Like I said, you can't beat them, join them in education, learn how to do all this, and it's just. I hate saying it, but it's like a cheat code. It really is. The whole system was designed for big corporations to get away with everything. So if we learn how they work, you can do the same thing and do it legally and apply it. I just really encourage looking into that. So we're a little behind on schedule, so I wanted to blow through it. It's probably record time. But next meetup will be Thursday, April 13th at 11 a.m. And we pay for referrals, whether it's regular real estate or an investment or a lender. If you bring them to us, we like to take care of people who take care of us. So please do it. Reach out to me. I had tons of people interested in it. We appreciate you guys. Thanks for listening, and thanks for getting involved. We'll keep them coming. Take care.